Once upon a time, in a distant land, there lived a king and queen who were blessed with a baby girl. They named her Snow White, after her flawless skin as white as snow, her silky black hair, and her lips as red as rubies. Snow White grew up to be a beautiful young girl with skin as white as snow, black silky hair, and ruby red lips. She lived in a magical forest with her animal friends who loved her dearly. One day, Snow White was strolling through the forest when she came across a small wooden cottage. As she approached the cottage, she heard a strange sound. Hi-ho! Curious, she peeked through the window and saw 7 little men in colorful outfits singing and dancing. Startled, Snow White screamed, and the men turned around in surprise. "Oh, my goodness!" exclaimed one of the men. "A beautiful princess in our home. How can we help you?" Snow White explained that she was just walking through the forest when she stumbled upon their cottage and couldn't help but peek inside. "We are the 7 dwarfs," said another, "and this is our home. Would you like to come in for some tea and biscuits?" Snow White accepted their invitation and joined the dwarfs in their cozy living room. They served her tea and biscuits, and they talked about all sorts of things, while Snow White felt right at home. As the sun began to set, Snow White knew it was time for her to leave. "Can I come back tomorrow?" she asked the dwarfs. "Of course," said one of them. "Our shift ends at sunset, and we'll be happy to have you back." And so Snow White promised to return the next day and waved goodbye as she walked out of the cottage. The next day, Snow White returned to the cottage and spent the day playing and singing with the dwarfs. They showed her their secret passageways and hiding places, and she laughed and had fun with her new friends. Before she knew it, the sun was setting again and Snow White had to leave. The dwarfs walked her to the edge of the forest and said their goodbyes. "Come back soon," they called out to her, and Snow White promised she would. Every day after that, Snow White visited the dwarfs, and they became the best of friends. She helped them with their chores, and they entertained her with their singing and dancing. Snow White loved spending time with the dwarfs, and she never wanted to leave. One day, the queen was strolling through the forest when she came across the same cottage. She peeked through the window and saw Snow White and the 7 dwarfs playing. Enraged, the queen vowed to get rid of Snow White once and for all. She disguised herself as an old woman and went to the cottage. "May I come in?" she asked. The dwarfs were suspicious, but Snow White invited the old woman in. "You are Snow White, aren't you?" the old woman asked. "Yes, I am. Can I help you?" replied Snow White. "I have a magic ring that will make your wish come true," said the old woman. "Really? What kind of magic?" asked Snow White curiously. The old woman placed the ring on Snow White's finger and said, "This ring will grant you eternal youth and beauty. But be careful, my dear, for its magic is powerful and can be dangerous." Snow White thanked the old woman and put the ring on. As soon as the ring touched her finger, a green mist enveloped her, and she felt a surge of energy coursing through her veins. Suddenly, Snow White noticed that the old woman was no longer in the room. In fact, she had vanished without a trace. Just then, the other dwarfs came rushing into the room. "Snow White, what happened?" they cried out in alarm. Snow White explained what had just occurred, and the dwarfs were furious. "We knew we should have protected you," they said, feeling guilty. "But what can we do now?" Snow White was unsure, but deep down she knew the only way to break the curse was to find true love's kiss. With the support of her 7 brave friends, Snow White ventured into the enchanted forest in search of the mysterious Prince Charming, unaware of the perilous journey that lay ahead. Would Snow White find true love's kiss and break the evil queen's curse, or would the queen's dark magic prevail? Only time would tell. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked this story, please hit the like button and subscribe for more magical tales. Until next time. Stay curious and keep believing in fairy tales.